Hey, quick disclaimer, on this channel, we like to come up with solutions to problems within the basketball community and not just talk about all the problems. We want to be solution focused on this channel. So I'm going to have a comment down in the comment section. For all you guys that want to make sandwich jokes and kitchen jokes, you guys can leave all your jokes down on that comment thread. And if you guys want to go laugh at that stuff, because a lot of you guys are going to want to do that, you can leave all your sandwich and kitchen jokes underneath that thread. The rest of us, we are going to come up with some solutions. What's up, Great Nation? Gabe the Great back here again for another video. And hey, if it's your first time stopping by, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate having you. If you like basketball, on this channel we discuss any and everything basketball, NBA, WNBA, grassroots basketball, college, Euro, everything on this channel. So if you want to have insightful conversation about basketball, feel free to subscribe to the channel. But let's get straight into today's video. Bro, Diana Taurasi went off. Like, I don't want to make it sound like she went on this emotional tirade, because she didn't. But I agree with a lot of stuff she was saying for many different reasons. So the title of the article says that Diana Taurasi says that the WNBA always finds a way to mess it up. And this is the big thing that I talked about in my WNBA videos a long time ago. That the players and everybody else, a lot of times I feel like they are blaming society, they're blaming, I never understood it. I never understood the reason. If you want to be paid more, why are you engaging with us? Why are you upset at us, the fans, the people who pay money, or the people who don't pay money to see your games? That has nothing to do with us. That has to do with your bosses. You got to go talk to your owners and things like that. It's why I made reference to in my equal pay video that it's about a CBA. You need to get the CBA right. And this is something that Diana Taurasi really hit on hard in this interview that she did with ESPN. So in this interview that she did, now by the way, Diana Taurasi has had a rough season this year. She's only played about 16 minutes due to injury. The WNBA is missing or has missed quite a few stars this year. Maya Moore is set out this year. Candace Parker hasn't really played a lot. Diana Taurasi's been out. I mean, those are the three most recognizable names. Now, thankfully in the WNBA, rookies can come right in because the talent level is not as deep in the WNBA. Usually rookies can come right in and make a name for themselves, and that's what happened. The All-Star MVP was an undrafted rookie. So there's some lot of young, good talent that's kind of keeping it up, but nobody carries the weight of a Diana Taurasi or Maya Moore or Candace Parker. So Diana Taurasi, in my opinion, when you're talking about the GOAT conversation on the women's side, for me it comes down between Diana Taurasi and Maya Moore. Now I know people will swear up and down about Cheryl Swoops and Cheryl Miller. Okay, if you want to debate me, we can debate down in the comment section. But in my opinion, when you're talking about the GOAT conversation amongst women, you got to put Diana Taurasi right in the middle, if not at the top of that conversation. And today she really talked about a lot, right? So, one, they were talking about the pay disparity. So they asked her, hey, how do you feel about pay disparity in the WNBA? And this was really interesting. She said, it's just sad to me. In 15 years in, it's just a sad thing to talk about. We have to go to a communist country to get paid like capitalists. And that's a valid point. They do have to go to places like Russia. I believe she and Brittany Griner makes over $1 million over in Russia. I believe her contract in 2015, Diana Taurasi, was over $1 million, I think $1.1 million over there in Russia. And it's very true. They do have to go to countries outside of the US because people in the US do not know how to market women's sports. They don't know how to build women's sports from the ground up, which is interesting because in the United States have been really at the forefront of a lot of different women's movements and getting women's rights, but yet they can't market women's sports to save their life. And so that's something that she talked about here. So the person asked about the percentage, right? The percentage is the biggest problem. And I love what she says. I love her response because it was really honest. She says, something is missing. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but what's going on now is not working. And I use the example of BG was a rookie. She was walking in this arena and the janitor was making more money than her. But you want Brittany Griner to be the superstar and carry the league into where? The kid's got to go to Russia for the next 10 seasons to get paid what she deserves. I love her response because it's honest. She's one of the first female sports players that I've heard, like, when they're talking about this pay disparity, just come out and say, like, I don't know what the solution is, right? Most women, right, like Megan Rapinoe, other women I've heard talk about this in the WNBA, like they always like project like, hey, this is what needs to happen. Like it's misogyny, it's discrimination, it's this, and this is what needs to happen. But she's like one of the first ones who's actually said, look, I actually don't know what the answer is, which I think is admirable. Because if she's being honest, she goes, it's messed up. I don't really know how to fix it. And I don't think we should ever crap on someone for being honest. Right? I think you can actually get someplace now. Because again, what I brought up is there's an educational aspect to this that a lot of female players, a lot of athletes in general just don't understand. Like I was thinking about this earlier when it comes to sports. A lot of professional athletes don't start thinking about the professional side of being an athlete until it's too late, until they're a year, 2, 3, 4 years into their career. Now they're thinking about being a professional. But the people that they're doing business with has been doing sports business for decades. And so they understand the business, they understand the marketing, they understand the brand, they understand all the little percentages and everything like that. And the athletes go into it not knowing anything. That's why I do believe that one of the things that I want to see happen in the future with younger athletes is that educational part about systems like the NCAA, about collective bargaining agreements, about agents and all this stuff. They need that knowledge too. Otherwise, what happens is the situation that you got in the WNBA. But, she goes on and she talks about here, she says, in the last 11 years, I think we've had a 1.5 increase in pay salary. I mean, who doesn't leave that job? And it's a good point. Like, that's a good point. If you don't take care of your players, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to get injured. They're going to go other places to get paid. And that's really been a crux of the WNBA. Here, I love this part. She says, the WNBA says it wants you to be fresh and rested every season, but you have to go overseas to make money. And Taurasi says they don't care. They don't care about that. Any league that talks about they care about their players is lying. Like I had to watch Roger Goodell talk about player safety. He doesn't give two shits about player safety. Like they say all the right things. So I didn't go overseas this year. Okay, that's great. Hey, can you pay for my therapy? Can you pay for my personal trainer so I can be in shape when I come to play for you? No, we can't do that. That goes against WNBA rules. Oh, okay, then I'll just come in here fat and out of shape since you really don't care about your product. See, I mean, they can say all the right things, but they need to show us what they mean. I agree with the GOAT. I agree with the GOAT right there. A lot of sports leagues, they say the right things, right? They say they care about player safety. They say they care about this. They say they care about that. But in reality, they don't show it. Now, I will say that the NBA is a lot more progressive. That it's probably the most progressive league we have in America, and the men are getting broke off over there, which I could imagine as a female athlete or a female basketball player adds more angst to the situation, because you have the most progressive league, the NBA, your male counterpart. They're getting paid crazy amount of money, like guys who probably shouldn't get paid what they're getting paid or getting paid a lot. Meanwhile, again, they can't get personal trainers. They can't get anything right in the WNBA. Oh, this part, she says, will the players opting out of the CBA change anything? Well, those are going to be contentious points anytime you negotiate a CBA. They will throw all these little minor details that make it look pretty, but at the end of the day, we haven't been able to fix the biggest thing, and that's salary. Even on the union side, we can talk about all these other little things, but salary is the most important thing. I 100% agree with her. And now I've made videos about travel in the WNBA and all this stuff, and yeah, all that little stuff is is cute or whatever. But the biggest thing they got to talk about is in their collective bargaining agreement. How do you come up with a collective bargaining agreement? How do you come up with a pay structure that works for your league? Like, how do you do it? It's not as simple as increasing the percentage, right? Like, again, that's why I see a lot of female athletes talk about this, and they sound, is this out of focus? Anyway, back to what I was saying. I see a lot of female athletes, and they're always talking about, hey, the NBA, they get a higher percentage of revenue, and that's not fair. That's discrimination. But the thing about the WNBA is if you increase the revenue percentage, right? So they're like at 22, 23%. The NBA is at 50%. If you increase the revenue share in the WNBA, teams will collapse like within the season, because even this year there was an article that came out that the big three has a higher attendance than the WNBA. So you really can't afford to increase the percentage points. They really have to figure out some type of collective bargaining agreement that works for that product. They don't just need a new collective bargaining agreement, they need an actual plan in place to grow the game. So they need a business plan that is focused around increasing attendance, increasing ratings, increasing sponsorship deals, and have a pay structure in the CBA that fits in that growth. Without growing the product, you can't just jack up the percentage points. And this is what all these other ignorant female athletes say. They say, oh, you just need to increase the percentage points. Okay, you do that, you're just not gonna have a job in 2 years. And here's the other thing. She says, how can the WNBA do a better job of marketing players and expanding its footprints? Taurasi, once again, I just don't understand how the NBA has made rock stars out of their best players. If you think about what they've been able to do marketing wise, and obviously it started with Magic and Larry and Isaiah, then obviously Jordan took it to the next level, and then you have Kobe, Shaq, now you have LeBron, Harden, Steph, Durant. They've made rock stars out of these players, and we have just not been able to capitalize off any of that, not even a little bit. Like, are you kidding me with some of the stuff they do with marketing and promoting wise? It's almost mind-boggling. Look, I agree with everything she said here. Everything she said is spot on. And I've said this for so long. They do not know how to market female athletes. They just don't know how to do it. But I've said this before. If I was in charge of WNBA marketing, and I would focus primarily on little girls ages 4 through 14, if they could figure out how to dominate the little girl market, if they could figure out how to sell WNBA player Barbies, if they could figure out that market, if they could figure out social media, I've said this so many times, the fact that the WNBA is not huge on platforms like Instagram, the fact that fashion just became important in the WNBA this year, like fashion would have been the first thing I would have popped off on. The fact that there's no drama, one of the problems with the WNBA is there's no drama. Every great story has a protagonist and an antagonist. The problem with the WNBA is that the antagonist is the WNBA themselves. And so it's hard to get into that sport. In the NBA, we always have a villain, whether that's LeBron, whether it's the Warriors, whether it's the Bad Boy Pistons, or whoever it is. If you weren't a Chicago fan in the 90s, then Chicago was the Bad Boys. In the 80s, if you were a Celtics fan, the villain were the Lakers. If you were a Lakers fan, the villains were the Celtics. You have to have rivalry in the WNBA. And the problem with the WNBA is everybody gets along. Everybody gets along, everybody is for each other. Like, you can't make, which is mind-boggling to me because I coach high school girls. It's really not hard for girls not to like each other. It's really not. It's really not hard to have cattiness and cliques and all this stuff amongst females. I mean, look at 90% of the reality shows. There's that show Bad Girls Club, Basketball Wives, like all these reality TV shows have figured out that women like watching other women fight and argue because they can relate to it. A lot of women can't relate to just getting along with a bunch of women. I don't know what it is. That may sound sexist, but tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm wrong. And so one of the things that they just really failed to do in the NBA, in the WNBA, is to market their athletes correctly. Who's the villain in the WNBA? Who's the team that everybody hates in the WNBA right now? right? Even amongst WNBA circles, there's a very small percentage of people who's gonna watch this video that actually watch the WNBA. Even that small percentage of people, you guys cannot tell me who's the team that everybody hates in the WNBA. Everybody loves everybody in the WNBA, so there's no drama, there's no tension. They have to figure out how to market to a younger fan base. How do you get every single 6-year-old girl in the country wanting to play basketball? Like, how do you do it? And I think it's gonna come, and I'm not gonna make a video on it today, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, but you know, the new WNBA commissioner is saying all the right things. Now, I don't know if she's gonna do all the right things, but hey man, the GOAT has spoken. I got 100% agree with her. I don't think anybody on the union side actually knows what the heck they're doing and actually knows what the next step is, because I think a lot of people are in their feelings and no one is really stepping back and going like, hey, let's look at this objectively and let's try to figure something out. I agree with her that people have not figured out how to market female athletes. I mean, if I were in the WNBA Players Union, I would just call up Nike and be like, hey, give me your entire marketing strategy for Serena Williams over the past 2 decades. How did you guys market her over the past decade? That's what I would do. And whatever they did with Venus, I would try to translate that over to the WNBA, right? But what do you guys think about the WNBA? How can they grow their game? What are some solutions to grow women's basketball? Not just the, oh, no one watches women's basketball, blah, blah, blah. Like on this channel, we actually want to be solution oriented. We want to be leaders. So we want to be thinkers and innovators. Like, how do we actually come up with a solution to grow this game? Again, I don't ever think the women's basketball will be as big as men's basketball, but I do think that there will be a time where you'll be able to make a living as a professional female athlete, but somebody's got to figure something out. Hey, like it if you like it, subscribe if you're new, follow me on Twitter. I'll be over there talking to myself. Remember, be great, be grateful. Peace.